Hey, what's up, ecosystem? What is the FMCSA Drug and Alcohol Clearinghouse? You need to know. This is the show. So bring your questions and buckle in. It's Tuesday nights live on Auto Transport Intel. I'm Jay, your host. Welcome back to the show. What? Hey, what's going on? Welcome back to Auto Transport Intel. I am Jay, your host. And I'll tell you what, every time I hear that, it feels like the first time. But listen, if this is your first time here, let me tell you what is going on. First, I run the welcome car hauler. By the way, let me know if you can hear me and see me okay. I am monitoring my cell phone, my email, Facebook, whatever I can. So listen, really, I appreciate it. If it's your first time here, I really appreciate you stopping in. I sent out some email blasts today trying to help get the word out. We had Facebook activity, LinkedIn. I think there was some Twitter activity. So listen, I really appreciate it. Here's what's going to happen. I'm going to say hello in the live chat here in a couple minutes. So if you're able to join the live chat, please do. Please ask a question or say hello or share information. Do whatever you can. And also, if you get the opportunity to hit that thumbs up, that like, that really helps. Please like, share, and subscribe. Of course, I mean it. We're going to go into industry news after that. About 10 minutes into the show, that's where I've got memes that I pull off of Facebook and actual news and pictures. And this will be a little educational material, a little bit of fun too. Before we start to roll into the information superhighway, what is that? That is where I'm going to start to lay out what we're going to talk about in this show. And tonight's show, unfortunately, is a very serious topic, the FMCSA Drug and Alcohol Clearinghouse. You know, this show, it's the same information you might get in a webinar, but I try to, bring it to you in a way, to keep you informed, keep you entertained, and maybe shock you a little bit, because this is pretty shocking information, and you're going to need to know it. We're going to bring in Ty into that conversation, talk about CTS business coaching for a few minutes, and then we're going to lead into the feature interview tonight with Gina Kessler of Impact Employee Solutions. She is the president of Impact Employee Solutions, and she knows a lot about this topic, so she's going to give us an in-depth interview and PowerPoint presentation, etc., about what we need to know. We've got, so if it's July 9th, we got about 6 months, minus a few days before the hammer comes down, and she's going to tell us about it. So then we're going to open it up into the roundtable. Her Executive Vice President and Impact Employee Solutions is Jay Hughes. He's going to be in the roundtable. We're going to have Richard Bren in the roundtable from PFA Transportation Insurance and Surety Services, who was kind enough to bring me this topic and, bring this to light. So thank you, Richard, for that. We owe you, man. We owe you for that. We all really do, because this is a really big deal. I know it might not be fun, but we have to know what is coming. To me, it's kind of like ELD 10X, okay? Remember how ELD was like, oh, well, yeah, I think there's a thing, and I think it's kind of like an egg timer or something, and, maybe I'll need to put it in the truck. No, man, it's serious. This is a really serious topic, and I can't stress it enough. So that's what we're going to talk about. That's what we're going to do on tonight's show. So let's go into the live chat. We're right on time. It's 8:05. And and by the way, it's not lost on me that I'm here at my desk. I sit here all day long working on all the stuff, and you're paying attention. You're either on your cell phone or you're on your computer. There's a couple people watching on a TV. Somebody's watching on a game system right now, according to the statistics. So thank you all for joining me. It is a community. It's information, and I really appreciate it. Let's jump right in. Bad Apple says, Rocket Trucking in the house. Thank you, Bad Apples, for joining the show, being the first one in the live chat tonight. It's really cool to see you here all the time, part of the core. Yeah, and you see the logos, right? Because we've got some advertisers. We've got Gopher Auto Carrier Software. We've got Sun Country Trailers. And we got Superflow Systems and Technologies. We'll talk more about what these guys have. And I'll just say now, so Gopher, if you're looking for a TMS and mobile app for your electronic bill of lading, dispatch management, new cars, used cars, small, mid, large fleets, contract business, repeat business, you want Gopher Auto Carrier Software. If you are looking for a company that really wants to know what's your route, what's your equipment, what's your experience, you want to talk to Sun Country Trailers. Absolutely, you want to talk to Sun Country Trailers. They're great friends of the show. And then also, here we go. So I'll get these fingers right one of these days. Superflow Systems. Do you have a broker CRM or a transport auto quoting software? Do you need one? You need to talk to Superflow, Market Superflow. And actually for the rest of this month, I'm going to have each of these advertisers in a dedicated show on the show live to talk about what's going on with them. That's going to be awesome. So really looking forward to that. Okay, the one and only is back with us. Also part of the core. Thank you, one and only, for saying hello and joining the show. And we've got first time in the live chat, Ed W. Jay, think I finally figured it out. Glad to be on the live. Love the show, mostly past the videos. Thank you so much, Ed. I appreciate you joining the show and glad to have you here. Frank Wright, SNA Logistics President, contact with your dispatching needs, S_A Logistics at yahoo.com. Oh, and he leaves a phone number. Awesome, man. So if you need dispatching, there it is. And don't be afraid, if nothing else, if you're here and you have a business. I mean, why else would you be here, right? Because you love car hauling? You could. Or you might be a family member or somebody that, just appreciates and supports what I'm doing. That's possible. But for the other 90+%, plug your business. Share your email address. I'll share it. I'll let you through. Because, I mean, promotion helps businesses, and that's what this is for me. Auto Transport Intel is my promotional tool. Okay, I'm a media guy, and I've grown to understand how large the car shipping industry is. Huge. There's so much to know. So every week, man, I'm coming back with more shows. It's a win-win, dude. Scott Lee with Autotransport.com. Awesome. Thank you for joining the show, Scott. I appreciate it. Kimberly's with us. You sound and look great. Thank you, Kimberly. I really appreciate that. Mwah. Thank you so much. You sound and look great, too. Ratio Robinson, what size car trailer I need for non-CDL? See, now there's a good question, Ratio. Those are the kinds of questions we're talking about, and you're going to want to stick around. You're going to want to hear from Ty at CTS Business Coaching. You can visit ctsbusinesscoaching.com. You can do it right now. And there's his phone number, there's his email address, and he is happy to answer your questions or point you in the right direction. But he does. He knows a lot of answers. Richard Bren. Hey, dude, Arizona's alive and watching you. That's awesome, man. Whew. Lots to live up to. It is hot, by the way. It is June. And I mean, now I'm just in full heat mode. You guys are like cooking. You're like baking down there in Arizona, right? So 2 hours behind. Really looking forward to having you guys on the show. It's going to be amazing. Trucking Answers made it. Ready for the memes? That's Mark at Trucking Answers. Listen, if you're not aware of Mark and Trucking Answers, you can visit on YouTube Trucking Answers every Monday, 1 p.m. Eastern. He goes live. He answers trucking questions. Remember, he has trucking answers out the wazoo. Really, check out Market Trucking Answers. Great show. Friend of the show. Thanks for saying hello, Mark. It means a lot. Ratio, 2-car insurance. M Fields. Hey, Jay. It's Marcus from Exclusive Luxury Transport in Las Vegas. Well, watching the show, looking forward to CTS soon. Well, thank you, Marcus from Exclusive Luxury Transport in Las Vegas. You know, I can't do the BMW ads the same as John Hamm, but, you know, one day I hope to. Boy, that'd be great, wouldn't it? Ty Thompson, is this where you get drugs? No, this isn't where you get drugs. This is where you learn to put the drugs down, man. Okay, not that, right? Okay, so I got some drugs on hand. That's ibuprofen, but still, I want to know, will the future of drug testing know that I've had ibuprofen? Is that true? Brian Pepson says, hey, Jay, hopefully everything is going good. Yeah, man. You know what, Brian? I say the same thing. Brian, I hope everything is going good. I know it's tough out there. I got the easy part. I'm sitting at a desk, you know, putting videos together. You're out in the 100 degrees, strapping down in tornadoes, and dispatch sheets are wrong. We just saw that on Facebook. Somebody was saying, well, what do you know, how do you charge the broker for dispatching errors that cost you time and money? I said, add a 0. Hey, Ty, I think this is the drugstore. Vinny, Viper Transport Towing says, what's up? Hey, what's up, Vinny? Thanks for tuning in. Means a lot. Part of the core. You made the news. You sent me a picture of some dump truck sitting on a single-car flatbed. What's up? Let's see. Shaggy's with us. Shaggy, Consulting and Training Freedom to Learn. What's up, guys? Tuesday night. Shaggy made the news. Shaggy's in the news. Go Charlotte Boot Camp this weekend. I wonder what I shared of Shaggy's. Actually, it's not one of the promo posters. So, Shaggy, you'll have to stick around and see what is in the news. I've pretty much watched all your videos, and some of my favorites are your old Super Dave ones. Thanks. You know what? I spent a lot of time on those Dave loading his car hauler videos. Man, it was a lot of time. So I'm really glad you like those. Thank you so much. You love what I'm doing. Thank you, man. I love drugs. Shaggy and Melissa. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Means a lot. What else we got? Oh, Ant's Transportation has the first redacted message of the night. Well, I think there's going to be more redacted messages in the coming days. This is going to be, we are now moving into a redacted future, I tell you. Oh, it's July. Dang it. It feels like June. Oh, man, it's July already. Who knew? You know, you talk about, right? Isn't time just flying? Everyone's like, it's July. It's crazy, man. See, that's where the guys step out of the truck, pull around, driver. Clearly you're on drugs. You think it's still June. And right there, that's what ended my career, thinking it was June. Too much ELD already. It's not June. That is crazy. Running late. It's all right, man. It's okay, man, because we're live together. I'm soaked to my underwear using bus bars on my wrecker. Yeah, it is muggy, man. It was hot last night. Really hot. Need loads? CentralDispatch.com. Now, that's interesting. Hey, by the way, I don't know if you guys know this. Did you guys, who saw the email? Oh, I'm late to industry news, so I got to go in a second. Who saw the email where Cox wants to know, somebody at Cox wants to know more about your user experience with Central Dispatch, and it had to do with Mannheim, which is owned by Cox Automotive, I believe. Anyways, point is that I haven't seen an inquiry from Cox Automotive as far as carriers and technology goes. I don't know if ever, actually. And so I found that really interesting. Fireworks, man, fireworks. You need the Kool-Aid. I do need the Kool-Aid. All right, so, and by the way, no echo. No echo this time. Okay, so let's do some industry news. I'm a few minutes late, which is typical. That's okay. I run behind on time. Okay, so here we go. All right, so listen, I'm going to move. All right, I got Ty here. Ty's with me in the green room. He's muted, so that's okay. He's in the green room. All right, so fact. C4 Auto Group in Claremore, Oklahoma is the best used car lot in Oklahoma. I like that. It's a good way to start the memes because I like memes. You can get in Facebook jail for memes, but not on this show. I'll take them. I go to pass, you speed up. I drop back, you slow down again. I try to pass again, you speed up again. Now you have a mortal enemy. That is not just truckers, man. You see that? Road rage. Flat rate transportation. Okay, why am I sharing this? ACV. You guys heard of ACV? You heard of ACV auto auctions? You know, if you were looking at the load boards for loads, you've heard of ACV auto auctions. So are these rates good? Now, is this a regional rate? Is this a national rate? I'm going to ask Ty. Ty's going to clarify this for us. I think this came from Ty. But we'll ask him when we get to him. Ty, you're still in the green room. Say what? What the what? You can't drive straight when the highway's not good. You get that fixed. Okay, so if you joined the show last Tuesday night, then you know that we talked about the definition of an auto transporter. This, by definition, is an auto transporter. It's got the head rack, so it's got a unit over, it's got a vehicle that you can mount, cargo that you can mount over the power unit, and therefore you can have the overhang, the extra overhang because you have a car on the power unit. So here's a question. Is this a car hauler? You don't see that every day. He does have the power unit he can put cargo over the power unit. Sure, I guess that's a car hauler. Cool. Glad that's a pretty clear definition. Is this a car hauler? I mean, he used to have a car. Okay, yeah, he could have. Well, he was. Okay, Jay, we get the point. Is this a car hauler? I mean, he's carrying a vehicle. Not well, I'd maintain, but I mean, technically he's hauling a car. Legally, maybe not. In fact, which brings us to this, Vinny. I think this was Vinny shared this. Is this a car hauler? I mean, I'd say technically, legally, I'd say none of the above. I'm going to go with none of the above on that. Let's see here. You know, it's a bummer when it... Okay, here we go. Is this a car hauler? I'm going to go with he was a car hauler. And now he's probably looking for something else to do. This is why we talk at CTS. Listen, you know what? Somebody recently said, you know, you give out too much information. I said, I'm actually trying to help bring your insurance rates down. Because if nobody helps educate, then we get more wedges flipped over. Okay? So that's a possibility. It's not definitive, but it is possible. Here's some news, actual news. If you've been hoping Governor Gregg would sign, here's good news. New Texas law expected to improve ports of entry wait times. That's actual news. That's kind of news. We do need that news, don't we? We need the news to know what's happening in congested areas like that. Here's some interesting news. I don't know how long I can stay in business. Truckers' fears have soared to recession-level highs. Are you living in that world? Is that in your near future? Because if it is, you know what you need? You need to tune in to some of the grassroots progressive programming that I'm finding out there. This is the driver's side. This is Wayne Campbell. You guys know about the driver's side and Wayne Campbell? Check it out. He's on Facebook all the time, and he fights for drivers. You know who also fights for drivers? Shaggy. Shaggy's a friend of the show. You can go to shaggyexpress.com and find out how to learn from Shaggy live. That's what he's talking about. He's going to be in Charlotte. He's going to be in Nashville with Ty. Ty is going to be in Nashville teaching car hauling on the spot live business coaching in auto transport. There's the address. There's a phone number. There's an email address. Get the information so you're not flipping your wedge and you're not part of the problem. So you know what we're doing to try and help? we're going to start, well, we've already been to a couple conferences, and we're going to keep going to these major conferences. The next one we're going to be at is Automotive Intelligence Summit, July 23rd through 25th in Raleigh, North Carolina. Man, I can't believe the list of people that are going to be there. And if you want to learn more about this conference or any of the other conferences, chat it right now. If you're getting any good information, thumbs up right now, please. We'll tell you more about what we learned at Automotive Intelligence Summit. We've already talked to Bill. He's the director of the conference. He's putting us in touch with Steve, who's also very involved in automotive logistics. I can't remember what sector because we haven't met him yet. We've only talked to him briefly. I'm so looking forward to all the people. 5 pages of people at this thing. Executives, bankers, developers. How about finished vehicle logistics, import, export, August 6th through 7th in Baltimore? We're going to be there too. So, I think Ty's already got a phone call. This is real, man. If you call Ty, he'll pick up his phone even if he's live on my show. That's insane. Oh, that's just great, Ty. No, that's great, man. That is real, man. CTS is real. ATI is real, and we're really going to be at these conferences. So if you can't make it, we'll bring you the information. But tonight is the Drug and Alcohol Clearinghouse. So this was on the FMCSA website. I'm sure it's still there because it's still being developed. That's what's cool. Tonight you're getting a sneak peek at some of the information that's not already. It's not. I don't know if it's officially out yet or if it's out en masse. But we're going to learn some things tonight we didn't know. Such as, okay, we all knew you don't want to take this selfie. Clearly it's not from any time recently, which is probably a good thing. Now you don't want this selfie. Alright? You don't want that one. This is actually caused from a drug and alcohol related accident. Okay? That probably helps explain why we're headed where we're headed. Because who remembers this on June 21st, 2019? What a mess. What a disaster. What a tragedy. This is crazy. There's no reason 7 people had to die. Family members, friends, husbands and wives, good people mowed over in a tragic situation that didn't need to happen at all. And so that's why we're going to get some of these heavy laws coming. Now it's interesting. I share this because I saw this on Facebook today. And you know what my first thought was? I thought it was fake news. Alright? But I don't think it is fake news. I think this is an actual story. But it's worth checking out. So you want to check this out. You want to find out. Because, I mean, is this in line with what we're talking about? I don't know. How about this? Legal marijuana reduces chronic pain but increases injuries in car accidents. Overall, hospital stays remain steady after Colorado legalized cannabis. Is this real? Is this fake news? I think this is real. But you got to be careful with studies. We're going to be talking about that tonight, too. You guys know what this is, right? This has been the way it's been done so far. Oh, I can't come in this week. I'll see you next week. Nah, I had it in the freezer too long. Can't use it. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to be that easy anymore because technology just keeps on coming. How about this? Intoximeters? I mean, I'm not saying that's new technology. I don't think I've seen it before, but I'm sure it's not new. Right? Can't be. Nothing's new anymore. So, except that I don't know what month it is. But this is kind of new. Hair samples. That's really happening, man. Hair samples, dude. Like, I don't know if it's happening yet. We're going to get the 411 on what's really happening. Oh, I know how to get around it. I'm going to go bald. I'm going to shave my head. Then they can't get a hair sample. Well, it's interesting. This says it. I wonder what they'll do. I wonder where they go to get that hair. Do you want to find out? So this is the show tonight, ladies and gentlemen. FMCSA Drug and Alcohol Clearinghouse. I know it's not a fun subject, but it is a topic that we need to cover. Hey, Ty, I'm coming to you in a second, buddy. It's 8:25. It's time to talk to Ty. Hey, and before we do, you know what? So we're gonna go into the. You're okay. You got 2 minutes, Ty. I'm gonna go into the information superhighway here in a second. So let's do this. I'm gonna go ahead and close that. I'm gonna go ahead and close that and that. Oh, trippy. Listen, man. I realize it's freaky out there, but if you want to get the right truck and trailer combination, you want to talk to Sun Country. Learn about why car haulers love Sun Country trailers.
When it comes to creating quality car haulers, precise engineering and expert manufacturing is key. Since 1986, Sun Country Trailers has specialized in manufacturing industrial-strength commercial haulers to fit every need. Each Sun Country Trailer car hauler is built with hand-cut steel and precision-cut parts for consistency and craftsmanship you can rely on. Once built, each hauler is sandblasted and given a rich powder coat finish, after which the hydraulics and wiring are expertly installed. Before leaving our manufacturing facility, each car hauler undergoes a stringent inspection, using a checklist and build sheet to ensure premier quality results. Need something unique? Choose among our wide range of upgrade options for a versatile car hauler that meets your precise needs. Our experienced service department is able to help you with any repairs, maintenance, and replacement parts your Sun Country trailer may need. And because we stand by our industry-leading quality, each Sun Country trailer is backed by a 1-year warranty on both the structure and all non-wearable parts. Learn more online at suncountrytrailers.com or call us today at 866-887-2453.
All right, okay, so check it out. Let's go into the information superhighway, and then we're going to catch up with Ty. So you guys can still hear and see me. Okay, great. Listen, if you're just joining the show, don't worry about it. We're 30 minutes in the show. You haven't missed hardly anything. Anybody that's still here, nah, that's a joke. That's a joke. Okay, listen. FMCSA. That's what we're talking about tonight. The Drug and Alcohol Clearinghouse. All right, so what is this thing? All right, so you can go to fmcsa.gov. Just type in FMCSA. Make it easy. Listen, make it simple. FMCSA drugs. FMCSA drugs. And there we go. Listen, you can either click on the first one or the second one. I think the fourth one is away. Nah, it's okay. So there's different pages here, but essentially, here's the page I want to read you. Okay. The Federal Motor Carriers Administration is establishing the Commercial Driver's License Drug and Alcohol Clearinghouse. Now, yes, there's already been drug consortiums and drug testing programs that you have to participate in. Get this. This new database will contain information pertaining to the violations of the U.S. DOT Controlled Substances Drug and Alcohol Testing Program for holders of CDLs. The clearinghouse rule requires FMCSA regulated employers, MROs, SAPs, third-party administrators, and other service agents to report clearinghouse information related to violations of the drug and alcohol regulations, and then it goes on into the code. But here's where it gets a little heavy. You read down a little further. Records of drug and alcohol program violations will remain in the clearinghouse for 5 years. You can't just fail a test and then go to another company in a week. They're going to know. That's going to change. They're going to know. There's no getting around it. It's going to get pretty serious, man. And I know I'm having a little bit of fun with the show, because that's just my style. But, it's kind of serious, actually. So now I'm going to bring it down. Oh, come on. Okay. This is a bummer. And we got to talk about it. Ty, are you with me, man? Let's see here. What do you got there?
I can't do it, man. It's a family show, Jay. Come on.
I've had my energy up, but when I talk about this topic, my energy comes down.
Why?
Because I'm glad you said that. Because, okay, I was thinking about this earlier. People become truckers, business owners, in-car hauling, trucking, because they believe in American freedom. They want to live their life their way. Right? Don't we all want that? Don't we all want a version of the American dream where we can live the way we want as long as we're not hurting other people. As long as we're not hurting other people. But we get the poster boy, right? We get the poster boy in New Hampshire that totally hurts other people and invades their freedom. And now we can't have, you and I get to lose some freedom because, I don't know, because we look to the government to fix our problems, man. Dang it. How do we go into this? Now what do we do? Look at that. What a bummer. It is. It's really important. And here's the thing is, I'm saying these things because in a webinar, you don't get this emotion. You're going to get, hi, my name is Jay. I am here to talk about the Drug and Alcohol Clearinghouse. Rule 1. You know, here's the dates and here's what you do. And now everybody go back about your business. And then one day, a guy walks out of a scale house and kicks you so hard and sends you packing. And you're like, man, I wish I'd watched that webinar now.
Hey, if Shaggy's still on the show?
Yeah, well, Shaggy's in the live chat.
Yeah, he's got a statistic that'll freaking blow your mind. He told it to me today, and I know I'd mess it up if I even tried. Hey, Shaggy, if you can hear us, type in that statistic you were telling me about today. It's insane.
Okay, and I think he sent me a couple PDFs. I got it on my other computer over here.
It's the one about the startups. It's something ridiculous. I mean, $34 million in fines for not complying with your drug and alcohol. Now, before anybody quotes me on that, let's let Jay find it.
I think you're right. No, you're like, you're in the neighborhood. Because the latest year on this chart is 2015. Over 4,000 cases settled at a revenue of over $33 million. And and
that was like the first. They're like the way he was telling me this was it was has to do with the new startups, right? So I mean, you already got the odds stacked against you when you're starting a new company, and that's what we're going to talk about here in a minute. CTS. We're going to talk about getting into car hauling, right? Yes, so if you want to get into car hauling, let me tell you some things.
Yeah.
Be ready, because it's a mess. I mean, we won't even get to the part about the complications of, hauling cars around. Hey, go get the cars. They're at the auction. There's 6 of them. There's only 2. I just drove 200 miles. What am I going to do with the other 4 that are gone? I don't know. We'll talk about that. But where this is going is it's really spooky, because here's the thing. I'm a conspiracy freak. You probably are, and I know Shaggy is. And this is what Shaggy and I was talking about. You're going to put these limiters on these trucks. Did you catch that on Wayne's show last night?
Well, I'm glad you said Wayne. Yeah, Wayne's got a great show. Shaggy's got great information. And Oida's been pushing. Have you seen the video on Facebook? Oida shares this video about what the speed limiters are really doing to to truckers driving safely on the roads.
Did you see the video about the guy in the Walmart parking lot, and they're getting their what do they call?
They get the window slap.
Yeah, $500.
Yeah, the boot. It's a windshield boot.
So this is great. I mean, think about this. I went to the Walmart parking lot because the government requires that I shut down right now. There's the nearest parking lot. I'm going to park right over there. Right?
Right.
So I'm sleeping because the government told me to go to sleep. So I'm doing what the government tells me to.
Right. I got my egg timer. It's time to go to sleep.
Then I wake up to some dude with something on my windshield, and I got to give him $500 because I'm doing what the government told me to do.
Oh my gosh!
Hey, I think I'm done trucking.
Right, exactly.
Show.
And that's why. That's right.
Family show.
And that's why the guy. Yeah, well, that's why that guy. Listen, that's why there's a news story where people are thinking of getting out. If you weren't thinking of getting out before, wait until you learn about the clearinghouse.
Yeah, and the better part is that the whole car hauling is not easy. Trucking is not easy. I've never done just normal trucking, but I'm sure it's not easy.
No,
Car hauling is
nothing's easy.
harder than, or I don't know. So it's just hard. I promise. You don't. There's a couple load boards, and if there is something on the load board, you might get lucky. If you don't have any, this happened this week. I'm coaching a guy, Jay. Get this. I'm coaching a guy. He's got 4 trucks, 4 trailers. He's been in business 5 years, and he doesn't have a direct customer.
Yeah, and that's so common.
He calls me Monday, panic. There is nothing on boards, and I got to get these trucks going. Can you help? Okay.
That sums up my average day as a dispatcher. I'm telling you, I don't know how many times I just sat staring at Central Dispatch like lucky sevens. Refresh.
I'm sorry, we got to pause you because here's what happens. Now I get accused of being mean and angry.
I know,
right?
you're terrible. Man, you are mean and angry.
Okay, so I'm gonna preface or follow up, and I'm gonna let everybody know load boards are an important part of your business. I'm not saying don't use them. I'm just saying I'm telling you a story about a guy who called me this week who has been operating on nothing but load boards and is in a severe panic.
And that's common. That's actually part of the narrative of truckers that are thinking about getting out because they've been living off the load boards. Did you know volume and capacity is down? Did you know that many headlines are talking about rates are down, volume is down? If you do not have, even if you have a direct customer, you're facing some rate decline. But if you're living off load boards and just at the whimsy of somebody else,
it could be a problem. So
it
anyway,
is a problem. It is a problem. You gotta.
It is.
You have to. Anyway.
I guess the thing of it is here's the deal. I care about the industry, and I want to help people see, and I mean that.
Yeah, I know.
I really mean that.
And you help people all the time.
I'm not lying. I really want to help people, Jay.
I know.
Okay.
I know.
So.
I appreciate that.
How do I help people? Well, let's start with the very basic. Do you want to be a car hauler? Did you guys see my cool little video with the rain?
Yes. In the guard shack.
In the guard shack.
Oh my gosh. That was crazy.
My timer's clicking on my ELD. It's pouring rain. Yeah. What am I going to do? Just wait till it stops raining?
Sure.
Well, the bad is I didn't have time to call the car puller that I pay to pull the cars, right? So I've got to get out there and do it because I don't want my truck to lose time and hours and get a bad attitude. I mean, guys, it's if you got drivers, I mean, you know this, I know this. You can make a driver a really bad day just because it's raining and the cars aren't pulled out. Now what are you going to do? Because this is the guy that you're counting on to do his job so that the cars will get there on time. Now he's all spun. Now we've got a really big problem.
I just saw a Facebook post where a driver said, I'm going to quit hauling cars. I'm going to become a car puller because I don't have to have any real responsibility or do anything correctly. So clearly,
and so here's this.
That sounds like a hard job.
I know I'm bouncing around like a rubber ball in a concrete room, but
we got a lot to do.
Here's the thing. If you just have a little bit of common sense, I really think you have to step back and ask yourself, what the hell is the government doing for me today, besides making my life a lot more complicated? I mean, I don't know if you want to call it hypocrisy. I don't know if you want to call it talking out of both sides of your mouth, but you're telling me to do one thing. And now because you're telling me to do it and I'm doing what you're telling me to do, it's causing a whole chain reaction that is going to put me out of business and probably not have anybody hauling cars. Now, do you think the government doesn't know that?
Well, not to mention the irony that everybody who says less government seems to get more government involved. Right?
Well, I think that's the job. I mean, I think, you know,
where we go, there's more government.
You look at you. I mean, we're the voice now. I'm not saying we're the ultimate voice.
Hey, what happens when the government steps in and doesn't like that we're doing a show where we're talking about the government?
Well, are we worried about the government or are we worried about, what's his name, Zuckerberg?
What's the difference?
Exactly.
shutdown, bang. Like,
well, I think, and this is why I really appreciate Shaggy and his show, and I appreciate you as well. I mean, everybody's putting out incredible content and informing people. The government is dictating now. It's not an option anymore. And somebody's going to have to get pissed. That's what usually happens, right? When we need change, when we need reform, somebody gets upset. So who's going to get upset?
The pendulum is now swinging, and I don't know how you pull back the clock. But listen, here's what we're going to do. This is really cool. Check this out. Do you know who the guest is tonight? Check this out. The guest interview. I'm going to read this to you. Gina Kessler. She's the president and CEO of Impact Employee Solutions. Here, I'm going to pull up the website. Yeah, we talked extensively. We're going to keep talking about Poster Boy here on 6/21/19. Thanks, Poster Boy. Let's see here. You guys know who I'm talking about. Impact Employee Solutions, Gina Kessler. It's headquartered in Phoenix, Arizona. Gina is the founding board member of the National Drug and Alcohol Screening Association and frequent public speaker on all matters of employment screening, testing, regulatory compliance. Prior to founding Impact Employee Solutions, Gina held a variety of leadership, management, and executive sales roles for several Fortune 500 companies. Gina has spent over 20 years influencing and shaping employment hiring best practices in a variety of roles, helping businesses of all sizes reduce and manage risk and exposure within their work environment. So she's coming on the show. So listen, Ty, here's what we're going to do, buddy. I am going to let you go. We're going to hear a word from Superflow. You know Superflow. And yeah, and when that show's coming up this month too. So give me what's your final say? I'm going to see you in the live chat, I hope, but what do you want to end on here? What's your note? What's your final?
My note is I appreciate you. Thank you. Your show's amazing. Thank you, Shaggy. Both you guys are cool and putting out some incredible content. And if anything, I'd like to see a lot of our fans, your fans, in Nashville, July 26th. We'll talk a lot about on cars. I know I'll get more to it, what we're talking about, but not right now.
But I like that. No, I like that. July 26th in Nashville. Join Shaggy and Ty. Learn about car hauling and trucking. That's a good point, man. We'll talk to you soon. Peace out.
All right. Thanks, buddy.
Transport Auto Quoter is by far the leading auto quoting software on the market, and the only auto quoter with a pro version that comes preset with accurate pricing for anywhere in the U.S. So you don't have to worry about it. The best part is that no change with your current software is needed. Just plug TAQ in and start booking jobs. Carriers can easily plug TAQ into their current websites and start making money right away. I bet you're wondering how we do this instantly and accurately 24/7. Well, constant analytics is the key. Our Price Watch team is constantly monitoring current market conditions, paying close attention to seasonal and quick-moving industry changes. At the end of the day, it takes a lot of time and data to maintain good pricing, time that most of us just don't have on a daily basis. So free yourself up. Using TAQ Pro is really a no-brainer. Save time and money, maximizing your leads and optimizing your online investments. You'll finally be able to sleep well at night knowing that TAQ is on the job selling for you 24/7. Never missing a potential job.
Okay, thank you for sticking around and welcome to the show, Gina. Can you see me and hear me okay?
I hear you. I see you. You're wild. Let's go.
Well, this is this is a wild show, and
yeah.
I mean, number one, the show in general is wild, but this is a wild topic.
I know.
This is.
It's a crazy topic.
Oh, it's crazy, and so and thank you for sending your bio over to me. I got to introduce you, but. Even though I said that, listen, anybody that's just joining the show, please introduce who you are and what we're here to talk about tonight.
Absolutely. My name is Gina Kessler. I am the owner, operator, CEO of Impact Employee Solutions, headquartered here in Phoenix, Arizona. We are a national employment screening firm that helps employers try to mitigate risk and reduce their liability. And we have a specialty in the DOT modals with regards to the regulations on drug and alcohol. So we like to focus the majority of our efforts on helping motor carriers stay on the road, stay in compliance, keep it as easy as possible for them, as well as some aviation and some pipelines. So we specialize in 3 different ones, but motor carrier by far, as you know, is the largest modality. It's the largest in our business, and we do this on a national scale. So this is going to be a giant change for these companies.
And that's the thing is, I mean, you're right in the middle of all of this. I mean,
Yep.
like when we've talked, you're talking about how, I mean, you're in touch with, are you in touch with policymakers?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You're in touch with employers.
Oh yeah.
You're probably in touch with, I mean, I don't know. Do you talk with are you at the ground level talking to employees affected by this?
Sometimes, but not as much.
Right.
Right.
So employers, yeah, please.
I was just going to say, I might touch on some of the other service agents within the drug testing industry, such as a substance abuse professional.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if somebody does violate, then they need to go see a substance abuse. We call them SAPs, so I won't even try to say the long word. It's a SAP, to go through that process to get their CDL back and get back on the road. So we're not that, but we actually, you know, we have to have those partnerships in place because employers are required to refer them out. And so we make all those connections. So in a roundabout way and sort of indirectly, we're always touching the driver or the end user. You know, it's our job to help them get a job. That's what employment screening is all about.
Right. And so why doesn't it feel that way? Right? I mean, here's the thing is that, and we're going to get into some of the emotions later, but it's the reason I talk about this topic the way that I do is that it's not even decided upon what's a drug, how serious it is, right? There are studies that talk about this, but individuals don't necessarily follow what all the studies say. The laws are all over the place. We're in the middle of different laws changing right now. I mean, it's kind of hard to understand what to do with all of it. It is chaos.
It's total chaos. Okay. And people hear it's legal in one state, it's not legal in another. Does it mean it's legal federally? It just, you know, yes, it's true. It is illegal, and that right now we're talking about is marijuana. Yeah. But opiates aren't, right? And that's the trend right now. That's the problem drug that we're having, that we're talking about all across the nation are the issues with the opiates. It's a legal drug. It's legally prescribed if you're taking it the right way. But should you be driving an 18-wheeler? Probably not.
Right.
So there's just that, you know, and the employer's got to step in and try to massage that in a manner that keeps it, you know, drivers on the road, but also keeps them safe. So it's very sticky. We're in just a really sticky place right now.
Well, and actually, I guess by saying drug and alcohol, drugs, then it's all in there together. Anything that could influence your perception and ability, right? Then that's what we're talking about.
Absolutely.
And so anything you can, I think the problem comes in if you if you're, let's say you're an alcohol user, right? You're a regular chronic alcohol user. Your system is flushed out after a certain amount of time, but with a lot of the other drugs, that's not the case. So you don't have that ability, right, to just sleep it off for a couple days, right?
Just marijuana. That's the magic drug that sticks around for a while. Everything else will, you know, eventually you're going to pee it out, you're going to sweat it out, you're going to cry it out. Enough hours goes by, you go to work, you'll test clean.
So how ironic.
Marijuana.
How ironic is it that marijuana is the drug right now receiving the most attention with legal changes?
Right.
That is odd.
Yeah. Well, and it's not synthetic, so that's the easiest argument, right? You can grow it in your backyard. It's natural. We should be able to have a natural drug.
Okay, now does synthetic marijuana flush out like alcohol and stuff? I don't know. Does it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
it depends on the strand, though. I mean, I'm not a scientist, so I won't pretend that I am.
Yeah, fair enough.
But for the most part, it'll be gone in 3 to 4 days.
So right now, somebody's like, note to self, switch to synthetic.
Yeah, don't encourage We're trying to discourage.
And I want to say this, man. I'm trying to ride the rail down the center. I'm not saying either one is correct, but I am pointing out all the problems.
That's true.
Right? Okay, cool. In fact, this is interesting. We've got in the chat where Bill Bad Apples, he's talking about the weight of his rig as whether or not he has to be in a consortium.
Yeah. 26,001 pounds or heavier, 16 seats or more, you got to be in a federal drug testing program.
Okay, so
if
under
you fall below 26,001 pound, nope, can't.
How interesting is that? And that, I guess that clears the rest of society that continues to drive like nuts and do whatever, right? On the phone.
Well, let's hope that's not the case, but
oh, you and I both know that's really, this is one of the reasons why I'm raising as many problems as I can, because isn't the average person next? Right?
Maybe. I mean, if you're going to get out on the roadway and endanger little babies in a car,
yeah,
it's a good question to ask yourself. Is it fair? Is it not fair? And who regulates it?
Well,
if you're not self-regulating, then who does?
Are people self-regulating? I don't know.
With drug abuse on the rise, that becomes a very topical question, right? If you're going to sit at home and do it on your couch, fine. But it's the minute you get in your car, get out on the roadway, now you got other people around you. So, where'd you go?
Here's what I want to do. Yeah, I just switched it up here because that's what I got to do. I keep moving on. Okay, here's what I want to do. I'm pulling up the PowerPoint.
All right. Everyone's going to get bored. It's only 6 slides.
No, this is great stuff. Okay, now, by the way, check this out. I figured out how to move it around because I really like the cleanliness of the dark background.
Good job. That looks good.
Yeah, it looks
good. So we talked a little bit about what I do, right? And we like regulated industries. So we do a lot of Department of Transportation. We do a lot of healthcare. That's a regulated industry as well. And then we do a lot of general industries, manufacturing and things like that.
Hey, by the way, do me a favor. Can you pan your camera just a few inches to your left? Yeah.
There?
Yeah, do that. Yeah, that's good. Right. Okay, so all right, so here we are. We know that somewhere we're ready with the tape. Somebody's going to hit record. We're already hitting record, but then there's the extra record on the record.
Okay.
What's our sound bite? Tell me more about. Let's take us through these slides and really let's dive into some information. Like it's this is serious because it is kind of serious. What's going on?
And we've talked a little bit about myself. So this is a slide about what we do. And I guess if you want to go a little bit deeper in here, specifically for motor carriers, we try to offer the most turnkey solution for them. So again, they have reporting, they have testing sites, they have access to experts whenever they need it, and they have access to us during audits to just get them back to work. That's our goal. We know that everybody's busy. So we do that in a variety of ways. We custom tailor it. We have small business packages for the owner operator, onesie, twosie, threesie drivers. We make it easy for them. And again, as much as I'm with you, how much regulatory encroachment do you want? The one thing about the federal drug and alcohol testing program is it's set in stone and it's got guardrails. And as long as you stay within those guardrails, you really can't screw up. It actually becomes pretty darn easy. So to co-manage it with a third-party administrator like us, or there's a lot of them out there, that helps a ton so that you keep doing what you do best, and we'll help you along the way. So it can, nationwide testing sites, random pool management for both consortium and standalone pools for the larger companies, audit support, CDL background checks and MVR checks. Those are critical, right? We need to know at hire, we need to know on an annual basis, do you have your license? Have you lost it? What are you doing? Everybody's under 391 has to get a physical for DOT. We can help with that. So we can make it really a one-stop shop there. And then the clearinghouse is coming soon, and that administration is what we're going to talk about next.
And I want to ask you this. So if let's say a driver, let's say someone's gonna, because if you're a driver or you want to be a driver, either you're gonna go to another company or you want to be a driver for the first time, and you know that drugs and alcohol is a consideration. How do you get information just anonymously so that you know what you're looking at?
Oh my goodness, that is such a good question, because I think the challenge that most people run into, as we do as well, is if you don't know where to go to research it, the FMCSA and the Department of Transportation isn't going to come find you out to help you with it. It comes later on as an audit, right? And that's when you find out what you haven't been doing right. So, there's a variety of places other than the internet that I like to recommend our customers go to, because there's not just just the Part 382 of the FMCSA drug and alcohol regs, that's what we cover. We're experts in that. There's all these other regulations. So it's beyond me how a truck driver seriously can manage all of those and stay on the road and make money, because that's what we're all here to do. You get a job, you make money.
And that's right.
You need partners, right? You need good partners. And so partnering with a good transportation insurance agent, like the Richard Brens of the world, or partnering with third party companies that might help you with your IFTA taxes or help you get your your license plates for you as a third party dealer,
or your MC authority, right?
Exactly. I mean, there are very inexpensive, incredibly valuable partners like that out there, and a lot of times the way you find them, honestly, I think sometimes it starts with a good insurance agent, because they really should be tapped in and have a reservoir of these partners that they can offer, because there's so many that aspects of your business that are going to get in your way of just driving. So, or going to work for an employer. I mean, if you're going to work for an employer, it's all kind of taken care of. They're responsible for you. But if you're an owner operator or starting out to become an employer, I think that's one of the best routes to go. If you find a good third-party administrator like IES, there's another avenue where we pride ourselves in having resources all over the country to help people get what they need, or we'll find it for them. That we'll go that extra mile. But it's harder to find it on the websites of the government, because they're going to be really dedicated and myopic to what you can and can't do versus this is how you do it.
Well, and you think you're being, honestly, anytime you are being monitored. I mean, you could probably type into good at this point. I'm speculating, but you could type in, random drug testing, and then in your Facebook page, they're trying to sell you all this stuff, so you can pass a drug test, and then you're shutting your laptop and you're out of there.
Yeah, and that's a problem, man. We're starting to see states outlaw that. That's how bad it is. States are outlawing fake pee, but they're legalizing marijuana.
That doesn't make a whole lot of sense, does it?
You think?
That actually doesn't. I can get on board with that. Does not make sense. All right, next slide. Yeah. National Drug and Alcohol Screening Association.
Yeah, so I got to plug my association.
Okay,
I'm
awesome.
one of 17 that in our industry just got fed up because there was no advocacy and voice for the employer. We really need that. We know that there are issues from a policy-making perspective. There are policies out there that they don't even enforce. And so enforce it or let's change it. But let's do something here to get our arms wrapped around the issues that we're seeing. So the National Drug and Alcohol Screening Association was born as a result of 17 angry people that just got fed up because we weren't seeing anybody really focus on the employers and the rights for an employer to have a drug-free workplace if they want, because we're starting to see those rights sort of erode and get chipped away at slowly and surely. I think the employer has the right to make that decision, or they should at least. So this is what we do, advocate safe and drug-free workplaces and communities. And the reason I love this mission statement, it is so close to ours. We are all about workplace safety. We're all about community safety. We're all about people, making it home from their job with all their fingers and toes intact and getting there in time to, see their kids and have dinner served at the table or what have you. So that's our goal. So anyway, in DASA, you might hear as we talk along the way, because it is a phenomenal resource for anybody that's listening in and anybody futuristically that might watch this playback to go out there and find information about policy, find information about employer policy, the drug testing world, what Department of Transportation is doing, what we're doing live across the country from a trainings perspective, reasonable suspicion training or drugs education in the workplace training. So there's a lot of resources out there that we're just really limited. And this is the place to go.
And that's what's such a good argument, is that just as someone could say, I should have the freedom to do things I want to do if it's not hurting somebody else, well, an employer should have the freedom to say, this is how I want it.
Right.
I agree with that. I mean, that's where freedom meets freedom.
Yeah.
Take that.
We work
freedom.
Employers, they work their heart and soul and sweat and blood and tears and the whole bit to get that business running.
Absolutely, they do.
One person that can bring us down. So the more and more we lose the ability to have that safety net here within reason, without hurting our employees. Obviously, the goal is to be fair. It's a contract, right? You tell them you do a good job, we're going to pay you and give you benefits and, maybe a little retirement and things like that. At least come to work alert and ready to go. And you're not going to run over somebody along the way out of the parking lot. I don't think it's a big ask. But at the end of the day, the employer should have the right to it. Not all employers want a drug-free workplace in terms of a practicing program. But you should have the choice. And I think that's really where we sit on that. You should have the choice.
I was just gonna say, but I don't think you can have you couldn't have like a non-drug free trucking company. Like, we do drugs trucking. Like, you can't. I don't think you can have that anymore, right?
That would be tough. I think that would be tough.
we do drugs trucking.
I don't know if Rich would underwrite that truck.
Right. You're never gonna get insurance, even if exactly. Even if you can get employees.
Well, he's going to kill me for bringing his name up all the time.
Yeah, no, it's great, man. Richard's great. He'll be on the show soon. Slide 3, please.
So keep going. Just hit those slides and let's bring all of this up. I think there's me. So this is what it's all about, right? I mean, we can split hairs about what the government's doing. At this point, it's coming and it's not going away. So this is the intent, right? It really is about public safety. That's the intent. Whether you like it or you don't, whether you want to smoke pot and then jump in your truck, which I think that's kind of stupid, but regardless, it's coming and it's about safety. It's harder for people to conceal their drugs. We battle with this all the time in my business because it's paper-based and people will violate and test positive for whatever drug they're on and skip town and go to the next employer and go to the next employer. That goes away. I mean, it just goes away. You send that urine piece into the lab, that lab finds it as a positive for an illegal drug, and it is going in the database, and the medical review team, they're going to put it in the database. The employer's going to put it in the database. We're going to put it in the database. So it's going to have 4 or 5 different people in there putting the same information about you. It allows your roadside inspectors and enforcement personnel to know if you should be driving. And if you have a violation out there, you need to be in the SAT program. So that's roadside, right? They're already on the road. So they pull you over.
And this is real time now. Right. That's the point of the clearinghouse. This is real time info.
It is.
Yeah.
And then it's easier for the employers to conduct their investigations. There's a lot more. Somebody said earlier the pendulum is swinging the other way. And we say that line a lot, especially in the background check world, because it's so protective of consumers and it's so protective of employees and so non-protective of the employer. And so we're going to see this more and more with drug testing. Drug testing in general that's non-Department of Transportation is a very unregulated industry so far.
Well,
I believe that's going to change.
Yeah.
So, but this is one, for those employers that really do care about who they're bringing on their payroll for drivers, airline, whatever it is, that pre-employment test got to come in. It's got to be clean before they can start work. This will help those employers to know if this person is hopping around before they even spend money on them, or they make a very small investment to learn they may have a violation and they can pass on that. It makes it so much easier for them. So you might hear me along the way kind of give some good things about it, because there are employers that spend an exorbitant amount of time and money trying to do the safe thing because they've got an obligation to all their employees. This will make it a little easier, even though there's going to be a lot more work to it.
Well, and let's say you're an employer and you have a very small company and you would like to, get on board with all this and you don't know where to go, right? What's that guy do? Can he contact you? Like, again,
Oh, God, yeah.
right?
Sorry.
Yeah,
I was thinking way too deep on that.
Right, I know. Right, no.
Let me pour myself another
But
drink.
if you're a small fleet employer, you don't know who to talk to, contact Impact Employee Solutions.
Call us to begin with, and at least if you don't meet the threshold of that 26,001 pounds, we can at least let you know what your options are that are not regulated. If you do meet those, then here are all the steps you need to go through, whether you do it in-house or you're partnering with somebody like us. So the great thing about the federal side is it's easy for us to talk about this with anybody across the U.S., right? With anybody across the U.S. that don't have regulated drivers, I got to worry about state issues. I got to worry about, other type of geographical issues. Sometimes counties, cities have different law. I mean, this takes it away, and it's really easy to make it clean and precise for people that are in the federal side. So this is why we dedicate so much time to this.
And I was
saying the regulations can be really iffy too, to make sure you understand them too. So our goal is to always give the best guidance that we can so that they're not misinterpreted.
Well, that's the thing, is it seems like there's so much. I mean, if you're an employer, to understand the ins and outs of what needs to happen here, I mean, I put your phone number, 866-896-0603, they can call.
Yes.
All right. Cool. Because someone's going to
call the toll-free number.
It's that you have, as an employee, you want to know what are you facing, and as an employer, you want to know how to handle this right.
Right. So let's go to the next slide.
Okay.
Because I think we're going to start. Oh, there was one more.
There was one more. Hey, there we go. FMCSA.
Well, so that's the part that nobody wants, which is when the FMCSA is coming after the employer. So we're always going to have a handful of employers that don't really want to follow the rules, right? They just don't. Yeah. So they're going to get found. It is what it is. It's a two-part deal.
Because the employer hasn't filed the proper.
Yep. If they don't have a drug testing program, if they're not testing them properly, or if they're just letting them drive, the one thing that you'll see later on that's going to be really interesting. And again, this is so new. And so there'll be so much shakeout for the first 6 months to a year. So everything I say might be a total and complete lie by June of next year. So we'll see how this rolls out. But I violate by having a positive drug or alcohol test as a driver, and that gets bumped into the clearinghouse. That information immediately goes to my motor vehicle department, and my CDL is done. So I can't job hop. I have no CDL that works anymore until I go to a SAP. So your employers have the option to see this as well. They don't want to put somebody behind the wheel. I would think they don't want to put somebody behind the wheel that both has a drug or alcohol problem that could, get out on the road, and/or they need to have a valid driver's license. That would go away. So I kind of didn't talk about the employer side, but I did talk about the driver's side. But if you go on to the next slide, I believe it covers there.
Okay. Man, the questions just keep coming, but I know I gotta let you keep talking because there's so much to this.
Well, and let's answer some if because I don't want them to go past us.
Well, no, it's not that they're coming in the chat, but I'm having so many thoughts. But keep going.
Your thoughts.
I don't know. Okay. I just don't know it all yet. So keep going. I'll never know
so your prospective employers and employers are required to query. So this is kind of what you got to do with it, right? So if I'm a driver and I want to go get a job with a new employer, that new employer who offers me the job says, well, but it's contingent on your passing your drug test and the database. So they've got to run a full query.
So where are they going to do this at? Where do you query?
In this database. I'm not even 100% sure that I know the URL yet. It probably is clearinghouse.com or something like that. But again, we haven't even seen it. We saw when the motor carrier came to our national conference at Endesa in March, we really saw sketches, diagrams. They weren't the actual database. It was still very much in production because this thing is rolling like super fast. So that's why I'm saying.
Okay.
It'll blow up as soon as everybody, registers.
I think it's going to mushroom. All right, so here's a question. Please tell us again, what is an SAP?
Substance abuse professional. It's a counselor that has usually a private practice that has a history and an education in treating people that have a substance abuse problem. So if I test positive and they revoke my license, before I can get that back, I have to go get interviewed by a substance abuse professional who will then determine how bad or how not bad my problem is, right? Maybe I was just a knucklehead and I did something during a party and I got caught the next day on a random drug screen, but I don't really do drugs, or I'm a chronic user. So you kind of get one end of the spectrum to the other. That substance abuse professional's job is to interview you and find out kind of where you fall in that spectrum, and then quarterback on your behalf the kind of education or help that you might need.
Right, but
the goal is to get you back on the road with a valid license. So you have to complete whatever it is they recommend, and it's a non-negotiable. You have to, or you're not getting your CDL back.
And you're at their discretion. That's the thing. It's this discretion doesn't work already, right? Right. Well, I know, right?
Not only that.
What a loaded question.
We have substance abuse professionals that it's a shrinking population. So if you're required to give referrals as an employer and you can't find any, it's a shrinking population. So that's what we've run into, is there aren't very many to refer out to before you even get them in there to say, hey, what kind of, do you just need to go to class, or do you need to go to rehab, or what have you?
But you got, when we talk discretion with a DOT officer, I don't think discretion's 100% in that, just at a scale. So I don't know. Anyways, and I love that Tom is asking what's an SAP, because that's what everybody should be asking.
Yeah.
Whose discretion will this be at?
Yeah.
And who are
abuse professional?
They
do have some pretty strict guidelines,
I'm sure they do. Yeah.
Their goal is to really, truly, help you get better, so that you're productive and you're back to work. That should be the goal.
I like that. Should be the goal. That should be the goal.
So I mentioned earlier, your state driver license agencies, they're required to query on a very limited basis for like renewals and upgrades and transfers. So they're keeping an eye on CDLs and people that are kind of moving around with them. And then the National Transportation Safety Board has access for the purposes of crash investigations, but it's very limited. And I say that because there's a lot of very sensitive data that goes into this.
Oh.
So not just anybody has access to it. And then if there is a violation entered, that driver knows good and well who's getting access to it, and they have to give consent. So it's not just open willy-nilly for anybody.
Well, and you can't deny consent, can you?
You can deny, but then you're not driving.
What?
So there's your.
Yeah. How do you like those apples?
I'm black and white. You can.
Yeah. Right. Oh yeah. Sure. Now, but also, and I think I read that the driver also, kind of within the consent and all that. It seems to me this will be an app.
Yes.
Right.
It's a website that'll be like for your phone, and they'll be able to. Okay. Here's the crazy thing. Everything's going to be paper mailed to you in the beginning until you opt in and tell the government that you'll take an email. So I don't know how that's going to last, how long that'll last, but drivers still have to get into the system to give consent. It is electronic. All right. So these are just the dates, just for kind of everybody's edification of
looking backward. Okay.
Yeah. Where we were, where we're going. So the final ruling, December 5th of 2016. So this is kind of what we've all been talking about. So it's ironic. The final rule happened, but no enforcement, because there's no database. So it's been 4 years making. We've had a rule. It's a regulation. It's in the regulations, but we don't have a database, and they can't obviously enforce it. So advance to the next slide.
I guess they just needed some better developers.
Or just something.
Okay.
Here's your registration. It's up in the air. We're told early November. I'll have updates later, so I can always send you updates and you can throw it out to your audience as we get closer. But this is where we think where the registration is going to start. Who registers? All employers are required to register into the database. All drivers looking to get a new job have to register in the database.
In trucking, anybody, any employer or employee in trucking, right? Oh my goodness.
In trucking that is required to follow federal drug testing. So just because you have a CDL, again, doesn't mean you're part of this. It depends on those qualifiers we talked about.
Which
26,001 plus,
okay.
26,001 pound.
And
I drive a vehicle with 16 seats or greater. I pull a tractor trailer with a 10,000 GVR that can bring me up to 26,001 pounds, or I have, hazardous material that requires a placard.
Okay.
Then I'm required to be in the drug and alcohol testing.
Tow truck drivers, no. Tow truck drivers, no.
Yeah, because if they can tow up to 26,001, absolutely.
They can tow.
That's your landscapers. If they haul something on public roads that can bring them up to 26,001 pound. School bus drivers. So you start to think through it.
Whoa.
And they have to be part of this program, which makes them part of the clearinghouse.
I mean, that's good. What I'm getting at is I'm trying to, okay, so do we know the scope of how many could end up in this database in year one? Is it
oh my goodness. They probably have projections and I don't know it, but if you think about, we know there's roughly 3.5 million active CDL drivers of the 8 million CDL holders, but not 3.5 million drivers are all looking for a job. And so if you're nestled in with a cozy job at Swift and you're not going anywhere, you don't have to register as a driver. But if you're going to go moonlight somewhere part-time with a new employer, then you have to register because that new employer needs to have access to your stuff.
So
if you're in,
okay, yeah, no, I'm interested that you said, okay, so if you're a career, let's say you're a career 9-car hauler and you work for the same fleet, you've worked there year after year after year, you're not going to go register in November 2019?
You don't need to. No,
really?
There's no reason for it. It's empty, number one. But
so if you're looking for a job right now, get a job. Is that right?
Stay there.
Oh, we just found a loophole.
Yeah, that's your loophole. Stay clean and dry. Don't get caught, and stay at your employer. Wow. So this is what you can expect. So in addition, you'll see down there we've got medical review officers. They have to go in here.
Right.
State driver's license agencies, and then companies like me. If you name me to help you, I have to go register. So let's move to the next one.
Mm-hmm. Now
we're looking at D-Day. January 6th, everybody has to start using this. And who's everybody? If all of a sudden on January 6th, the labs have a bunch of positive urine samples come through, they're plugging that information into the database. Then that report gets, sent down to the medical review officer and they contact the driver and they talk about it. Now, here's what's interesting. If they talk with the driver and they have, let's say it's an amphetamine positive at the lab, they talk to the driver and the driver has, a valid prescription, a reason to be on it. They're using it as prescribed. It turns into a verified negative report. Then that will not be, that will not stay in the database because he verified out as a negative MRO report.
Negative means you're clean and you pass. You're not in the.
You had the conversation. You have a legitimate reason to be on it.
Okay.
Now, we always get prescription. There's always a theory that somehow I'm going to get a prescribed cocaine, which is impossible. But maybe in some countries you can.
I've never heard of that, but yeah, okay.
Yeah, MROs get it all, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
So, but then obviously, if it's a verified positive test, the lab is reporting it, the MRO is reporting it, and so is the employer as soon as it gets reported out to them. So it's getting hit in various places, and then the state driver's license agency is also told about it. So, is there going to be anything in this database? No, it's empty. But everybody's got to start using it. So you're going to see a ton of registrants, right? Employers, SAPs, medical review teams, and labs. There's going to be a bunch of those. But then along the way, you're going to have people that refuse to take a test, and an employer has to key it in. You're going to have people test positive. That information is going to go in. So it's going to start to fill up. and that's going to be on January 6th. So when they talk about enforcement, to me, what I hear is do it or else, because otherwise you're going to get out your checkbook.
Wow. Holy
right?
mackerel.
Isn't that what enforcement is with the government?
Right, yeah, is a citation. First you get violated, then you get cited. Right.
It's a violation.
And then you, right, oh my goodness. Wow, this is going to get crazy. So here's what we're going to do. I am going to, I'm going to bring in, we're going to open this up into the live panel. We're going to bring in Richard. We're going to bring in Jay. And we're going to learn more about this. And so I hope you'll stick around. We're going to be right back. Thank you so much.
The team at Gopher saw a need in the automotive industry to leverage software for companies like yours. We believe in connecting people through the latest cloud technologies available. So we made software that brings together the major facets of your company under one umbrella. What that means is your dispatching, drivers, accounting, and of course your customers will all be connected automatically. Here's the basics. On the web, you can create orders, then quickly dispatch those to your drivers. Now that your drivers have been dispatched, they simply log into their mobile device and their loads are downloaded to them. From there, they can take photos, scan VINs, capture signatures, and even do damage reports. Once the driver finishes, emails automatically go to your customers with status updates, just as if you bought that nice new toy from Amazon. At the end of the day, we all want to get paid, right? Gopher integrates with QuickBooks and even has its own built-in invoicing, so you get paid faster. And who doesn't want that? We've been in business for over 30 years. We'll treat you right and make sure there is a human to provide customer support. Get connected with Gopher today. 760-267-9040. Gopher.com.
You're going to ask.
All right, cool. So here we are. We're back. And we now have Jay Hughes with us. Jay, please say hello and tell us more about yourself.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jay Hughes, and just to confuse things, I suppose we're going to have too many J's on the show here tonight, but I'll go by JH, I suppose. And I'm an executive vice president at Impact Employee Solution. You just spent a little time talking with my boss, and so we share responsibilities as far as going out and helping our clients run their DOT drug and alcohol programs across the country.
All right, cool. Oh, perfect timing, because look who we have with us now. Richard is here. Richard, can you see us and hear us okay? Okay, so,
no sound, no audio, or did he just blow me a kiss?
Try again, Richard. Yeah, we can't hear him, but we can see him. That's okay. That's no problem. He knows where the audio and video settings are. So, wow. So if we haven't, I'll say this: if I've seen many questions. In fact, while Richard's doing that, I got a couple questions I need to get to. Okay, so let's pull this up. So let's see here. And I want to
hear me now?
Yeah, we hear you. Perfect,
there you go.
Richard. Thank you. What happens to all right? So what happens to drivers who have a positive test, but don't need to be in a federal program and don't have these requirements?
Well, we don't know because we don't talk with them very often. They wouldn't take that federal test. So it would probably be in a company authority policy, depending on how that company wants to handle a positive drug screen. If that makes sense.
So you're saying employers will have some discretion here? It seems like essentially the federal government has the discretion, no?
They do with a federal driver. So somebody that drives and has those weight limits we talked about, or the 16 passenger buses and things like that, there's no options there. They follow the federal drug and alcohol testing program, and the employers are responsible too as well. Now, but if I fall under that, I'm a CDL driver, but I only drive a 10,000-pound truck. I'm outside of federal testing. So If I drug test, it's because my employer has their own company policy, their own company program, and it's up to the employer in terms of what those consequences might look like. So the government isn't interested in those. They're interested in those qualifiers.
Gotcha. So now you might have an issue with your employer, but not your CDL.
Right. Well, and the other part, Jay, would be they don't go into that clearinghouse you were speaking of. That's a separate program. So if that one is totally on the employer, I will say, and Rich knows, and we do this as we work together with clients, when Gina and I write policies for companies who have drivers who fall under the federal program and drivers who don't, we often help them write their company policy to essentially mirror it. And so the process would probably be the same with the exception of the clearinghouse.
But that's a great example. And I just, again, real world, having worked with truckers that are trying to deal with all this, right? They want to keep everybody to the same kind of standard dispatch, mechanics and everything like that. But as they've alluded to, that whole federal panel, the chain of custody, that doesn't apply to somebody without the CDL. So right. they want to be consistent, and yet the government doesn't let them. And so these guys got to help write plans, and they got to make sure that the testing panels and that comply with what is legal in their state.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And by the way, for anybody just joining right now, Richard, tell everyone who you are. We know, but tell the audience, please.
You want the version my mom would be proud of?
Yeah.
I'm an old.
I totally want to hear that.
I'm an old truck insurance geek, is what I tell everybody. I've done truck insurance since 1987. Currently involved with PFA, the leading provider of surety to freight brokers in the industry. We deal with helping them with their surety and their insurance. But again, that's been my history. I met Gina through contacts through the Trucking Association. We have a lot of common contacts that are truckers, attorneys, and others. And we just kind of live in this community together of not only Arizona, but, transportation. Yeah. So I'm passionate about doing things right. The compliance, the regulations. I know it's a burden, but it's not going to go away. So we try to help people understand it and deal with it.
I think that something I wonder, do the statistics, actuarial tables, etc., do the numbers show that this needs to happen? Is that what the data says?
Well, the data, Gina can go back to that. I mean, look at America's roadways. They're just getting more difficult to operate safely. The congestion, impairment of drivers. This is a great example. Gina has stats. Jay knows, stories himself. What happens when they start to legalize marijuana and, the impairments. And the other thing is prescriptive opioids in that. People, read the label. You shouldn't be operating heavy equipment. They are, and so I think that when you see horrific accidents like you just saw here recently, that just drives it all the more. And some of the more substantial federal regulations that are in play have come out due to horrific things that have transpired. I think driver seat belts, airbags, these are not trucking specific, but there's a lot of things that are out there that are trying to impose to make society live longer and be safe. And keep in mind, what's the FMCSA think they can accomplish? 0 accidents on the roadway. Yeah, right. I mean, in what in what perfect world do they think that will ever happen? Because even smart vehicles running down the road are hit by ignorant people, and stuff happens.
Well, and I honestly, when you said the opioid thing, I'm thinking of those pictures of people in their you got a husband and wife in a minivan passed out. I think it's opioids, right? And that's just those are regular people. They're not truck drivers. Who's controlling that?
I can tell you of stories that I've seen here in Arizona where our tractor trailer driver is going down the road legally, and the person who passed out from like a 72-hour binge, still kind of loaded up on some stuff, passes out, comes left to center, takes the whole side of the tractor trailer out. The driver's mistake that day was going to work. That was their only mistake.
Right.
They were on that road to get hit by an impaired driver who was.
They were on time. Yeah, if they were 10 minutes late, it wouldn't have been a problem.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I feel like the things like especially like ELD and now this, and there's going to be more, and I feel like we're only ahead of the general public by a few years, because I'm almost positive, given technology and the way things are going, and our belief that everything needs to be regulated, by the way, that's one of the things that I think is important as on the table here is we talk about deregulation of some things, and then we talk about extreme regulation of other things.
In my lifetime, in my career, I also worked for a company that wrote taxi cab drivers, right? So once again, you tell people that when you're impaired, take a cab, right? Jump in a Uber, get a lift. How do you know if that person is qualified and not impaired?
Oh, great.
And not impaired.
And I could definitely see an Uber and Lyft and ride sharing and all that stuff. They're going to have their own drug and alcohol clearinghouse.
Yeah.
Right? I think so.
Maybe.
And
I mean, if it gets bad enough, right? It always seems to take or require one big, giant, colossal fatality for something like this to happen. I mean, the whole reason the Department of Transportation was even created was because of giant railroad, disaster, and somebody was high on pot, and it killed a lot of people back in 88, 89. And then in 96, rolls out the federal drug and alcohol testing program. And so it starts from a big, giant accident. Well, naturally, I don't know about you guys, but we do have a lot of long haul truckers. It's a way that our commerce works. We need them, right? We also need airline pilots. I need those guys to not be high when I get on a plane. Thank you very much. So if the Uber driver gets high, not saying it's right, but he's not flying the plane with 400 passengers.
Do pilots have a clearinghouse? Do they have a system like this?
I don't believe they have a database that requires employers to put in, but because we do have employers that are within the aviation community, it is such a dramatically small modal, it's easier to track. And FAA, in their kind of snooty way, have their very own drug and alcohol abatement division. So they have employees.
Self-regulation, right?
It is a little tiny division where our motor carrier auditors have to know it all, right? They have to know all the regs, because when they go on site to audit a motor carrier, they have to get under the hood, and they're doing safety stuff, and they're doing drug and alcohol, they're doing 391. So they have to know it all. That's a lot of regulations to know, but the FAA has dedicated auditors just for their drug and alcohol program. And there's only roughly 400,000 aviation employees as compared to 8.5 million CDL holders.
Well,
way easier to track.
Right. Way bigger database and pool, and much less self-regulation. I mean, right? We know we can name a company a few weeks ago that clearly didn't self-regulate enough, and now there are dead people all over the road.
Yeah. And we had a client not just a couple weeks ago we had to part ways with because they just would not take our advice. And after a while, it doesn't feel like a partnership anymore like that. But just specifically speaking, they continued to try to bring on one particular driver that just couldn't pass a pre-employment drug screen. But not only that, they wouldn't put him through the SAP process. And I thought, my gosh, this is the poster child. If you're going to test positive 3 different times to meth, what about the 4th time and he stays off of it just long enough to pass that, gets a clean test, and then he's back doing what he's doing now, he's behind a big truck. Yeah. So I thought to myself, man, if this database were live 2 weeks ago, this would have never, we would have never had this happen. That guy would have never been back to try it again. He's got an active license. There's no way to track him down. So I think about those things and, could we prevent what happened with the 7 motorcycles? Yes. There's some prevention there.
Well, yeah, and unfortunately,
just regulating wise.
That's like a worst case scenario.
Right. Well, I think, Jay, early in the show, you mentioned about, I think a lot of this also is I don't want to say messaging, but it comes across as punitive, right? We're gonna kick you out.
It does,
right?
Yes.
But in reality, what the real message needs to be is safety, and your viewers, they're doing it right. They're safe on the road. It should be fair that the other person is. And I know we can't control all the cars out there, but the message really needs to not be so much about we're going to kick you out and it's punitive and it's but really about safety and getting home and being able to do your job and do so in a safe environment and have a safe environment around you. That's really what the message needs to be.
Well, and I think that's why if you want to, I like what you're saying. It's absolutely correct, because we all have a family we love and we want to see them again and again.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And,
definitely.
And so that's our common ground.
Right.
Yeah.
And if we can focus on that, maybe there's a way to focus on that. That's actually, there you go. I think somebody call the marketing department, because this is it.
Yeah. It's about workplace safety. And at the end of the day, with all these added regulations, I can tell you this, a really good, passionate company in this space will help employers with this clearinghouse piece in a way that does allow them to keep focused on their job and not focused on, oh my gosh, I have all these deadlines and things I have to enter into this database. There's economical ways that you can offload that to companies like IES that help keep you in those guardrails, but also keep you focused on what makes you money, right? And can help you with the guidance and all of that stuff. So it doesn't have to be as drivel and horrible and everything if you really want the help. Right. Because, there's a lot of us that we data entry all day long, but that's not what our clients do. So they're hiring, they're getting new contracts, they're getting people on the road. That's what they do for a living. So you can make it easy for yourself, because again, it ain't going away.
No, it's not going away. Richard.
Jay, there was a defensive driving, a safe driving type program. There's lots of them out there, that you can talk about. But the one that comes to mind listening to you guys was basically set up on a concept of ethics and technique. And, my ethical standards by which I operate will then drive the decisions I make, the techniques in which I operate my vehicle, right? So if I cherish human life and wanting to get things done without any damage or injuries, right, then my techniques will represent how I operate this vehicle, the weather, et cetera, et cetera. And I've watched good presenters, 2 truck drivers, make them pull their wallets out and make everybody pull a picture out. Who wants to watch that person perish, right? Now you're looking at everybody's loved one that they're holding up in that picture. That makes every other truck driver in that room look at that and say, would you give up? Would you sacrifice your kid to one of these other morons in here? No. So now you know who you're driving for, right? And you got to protect the public in that same mindset. With all that in mind, I mean, we know people make bad decisions, and there's a lot of people out there. There's a question out there, people trying to beat these tests. They're trying to all these synthetics and so now there's all these gamings that are going on that make it more and more difficult to catch the bad actors. I don't know what else to call them.
So are you saying maybe social media can actually help us because we get to know more about each other?
It can demonstrate maybe some behaviors of people that question whether or not.
I mean, honestly, the 4 of us talking, I mean, we know each other more than we did before. you guys already knew each other, but I'm getting to know you guys, and I mean, it helps me find more common ground with the topic you're talking about. Then you start bringing families into it. Man, we're really close to being on the same page.
We love you. We love you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. That's awesome.
You're part of our new family, James.
That feels, I mean, that really feels good. I really appreciate that because, I mean, you know, well, and I feel like I am trying to help in my media way that to sound the alarm bell. It's time to know and do and pay attention so that you're not caught off guard, because I know this little egg timer caught a lot of people off guard. Yeah. I mean, and it was pretty bad, but this is going to be worse.
Yeah. I mean, one thing I heard everybody talking about earlier, and I guess I'm the conspiracy guy out of everybody, and I worry about who knows my data and who has access to what, and Gina brought it up a little bit earlier, but I thought a lot about that when you guys were speaking earlier, and the driver should know that the way that the clearinghouse is set up to work is that if you're looking for a job and your new employer needs to check the clearinghouse, as Gina said earlier, and it sounds like a joke, it's not. As a driver, you're going to be notified. To start, it's by mail because you have to go on and say it's okay to get you an email. But I guess the point I was making, Jay, is that your data is protected. You have to then give the right for that employer to go ahead and then collect that data. And so they can't do it without you knowing. Another driver can't just go out and look you up. So the data is protected. You have to positively give your permission for someone to access the data that's out there on the clearinghouse. And as Gina mentioned earlier, if you go through and you have a test that gets reviewed and it comes back that you have a prescription for it, that never even hits the clearinghouse. Right, I just don't want folks who are like me, who think everybody's out collecting all this stuff about them, to think that the clearinghouse is set up to spy on you. It's not, and you have protection that's built in that way.
Well, here's a question. So, like Safer Sys, I mean, I can go up on Safer Sys and see all kinds of percentages. Is this different?
Well, it's different in that it's your personal information. They would go out and search if it were you, for example, and you wanted to go look at Rich, and if you tried to enter by his name or you tried to enter by the CDL or whatever the case was, you would get no data returned. The employer is registered as an employer, or someone like Gina and I as a third party on behalf of the employer. We can go out and search for Rich, but before we got any data back, he would have to positively affirm that we have rights to do that. And so it's not instant.
Yeah.
There is a search that would take place, and the driver then has the right to positively affirm that this person has a right to look. And just because you're a driver that's part of that database doesn't mean that you can just go out and look at everybody.
Right.
You can look at your data. That's it.
And I just want to piggyback on that. Keep in mind, it's truly just about violations. So right. It's not because I have a CDL license with 0 violations, you're going to find my name with a CDL license. I'm not in there at all because I have no violations. And if I do violate and I go through my substance abuse professional program and I successfully pass my return to duty test and I come back to work and I go through my follow-up testing protocol that's set for me because that's part of the program, and I get through it all, every little piece of that data will be removed for good.
Okay.
So it's only violations. So we're not looking at a big giant database, CDL drivers.
They don't store it. It's not stored.
Sometimes what'll happen, the only time things get stored is if you violate and you never go get your treatment. Right. And never a reason after 5 years it drops out. But keep in mind too, that if I violate and I don't get my treatment, I also lost my driver's license. So if they didn't go get their SAP program and they lost their CDL, they probably went and found something else to do with their life.
Right.
And then that will come out, but again, to Jay's point, nobody can see it without consent. And the driver, I can get in, if I'm a driver and have violations, I can go in and I can see him anytime I want. I can see what's being remarked, and I can even go through an administrative action process if I need to fight something that was incorrectly put in. That's going to happen.
Yeah.
So,
Rich, what were you going to say?
Well, again, writing truck insurance, there was a small fleet that I insured down here in Phoenix, and he held a CDL, and this was the early days of compliance. His number came up in a random poll. He's like, you know what? I'm so busy. I've got too much going on. I'm not going to spend the $50 to go do a test. And so he doesn't test himself. Roll forward about 6-7 months. Times are slower. He's out a driver. He's got a load to run. He jumps in the truck and he runs it. Roll ahead a few more months. Feds come in and inspect him. Because he did not test himself, that's like a refusal. So he is his own himself employer. He refused his own test. And he has to go through all this nightmare of going to all these classes with all these dudes that are in there for a good reason. And now he's had to plead his case that he's really not, some stoner that's trying to avoid drug tests. So he goes, saving $1,500 cost me thousands of dollars and all kinds of distress, and going to drug and alcohol program for like 10 weeks, only to prove that I was a stupid idiot that I didn't take it. So you take the test. I mean, so sometimes little things like that come back in this whole thing. And, the feds, I know there was a question out there about this being an easy hit, drug and alcohol, and Gina and Jay can speak to it. My impression, and again, federal inspectors are individuals, right? And they get a common educational plan, and then they get motivated by different people that maybe are their immediate supervising officers. Anyway, in Phoenix, I could count on those guys coming in and jumping in there and seeing what the drug and alcohol policy looked like, because it was an easy target. Because so many people failed to do their pre-employment correctly.
Yep.
Maybe they weren't keeping the correct documentation on their consortium and how it goes down, nail them there. They didn't know what they were supposed to do, post-crash. And there could have been legitimate reasons that it didn't come down or ever get done, and they failed to document it. It's just like bang, bang, bang. They just shoot them. I mean, they got fines coming galore on them. I could count on that as being a key area. Back in the day when DVIRs, the daily vehicle inspection reports, that was an easy target. And logs. Logs should be away now with the ELDs, hopefully.
Yeah.
But maybe Gina can speak to it. It's just an area of ignorance that they don't know how to do that part of driver compliance right.
Well,
and then
but I know firsthand, as being, because I was dispatching, right? That's how I got into this mess. I was a dispatcher, and a lot of guys, this is an area, nobody even talked about it, because the whole focus was on getting the next load, right?
Yeah.
Which is, we can understand that. Right, but the thing is, are you saying, I think you said this earlier, Gene, is that, can you look, if you're right now, if you're just like, oh my gosh, can you look to your insurance person to help you maybe catch up and get some good advice on this topic? Is that
I would really hope so. And if your insurance person doesn't have something for you, then you need to maybe get rid of that person.
What if we're talking about the biggest insurance company in the nation, right? That insures the most people. If they can't give you some of this advice,
they should have some level of safety consultation to get you pointed in the right. Well, heck, Jay and I, we were hired by an insurance agent out of Las Vegas 2 weeks ago and flew out, and we conducted a DOT reasonable suspicion supervisor training for 3 of my clients, 18 of his. So, he knew good and well that because he's dealing with workers' comp claims and crash this and blah, 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 and he doesn't even deal with the things that Rich does because he's more of a general, but he's got large clients that are going to have a DOT trucker too. He knew that, while he's not 100% dedicated to DOT, a reasonable suspicion training arms your supervisors who are in the field with the best tools that they know how to see if, my gosh, if somebody walks up and there's the feeling that maybe they're under the influence, they have the confidence to stop them and say, let's have a chit chat before they get in that truck. So that's the kind of insurance agent, in my opinion, that really cares about their clients, so much to the point that he paid us. We didn't charge his clients for that training. So not that we're looking for somebody to be, paying for everything, but they should at least have a good, mixed bag of value-added consultants that they can point you in the right direction. Because this stuff, they're not calling you and patting you on the back to say you're doing a good job. FMCSA is going to tell you when you screwed it up, and then they're going to say the letter is on the way. Get out your pocketbook. So we want to minimize that from ever happening, or we want the audits to be short and sweet, and they leave you, quickly, and you don't have these things happen.
Yeah. Jay, I'm gonna put a plug in. You sat in on a webinar. This all started with, participating in the Motor Carrier Insurance Education Foundation. That's the truck insurance geeks, right? That's all of us that are in this community of education, trying to continually stay current, know what's going on with the regulations. How do you bring all these complexities that we talked about back in May, contracts and regulations and insurance? How do you bring all those things in alignment? It's quite difficult to do, but that is one of the things. I mean, that's why Tommy Rook had Gina come on and talk about this topic. We have to be ahead of it. So mcief.org, it is a site right now that is supporting the insurance industry. Guys like myself, men and women in the industry of insurance, we're truckers, but that site will in time allow, and I don't know if it's going to be driven off of a DOT, but probably a CDL at least, for them to sign up and get free access to stuff. So watch for our feeds that are talking about different kind of sessions that are coming from that community, because it's about risk. It's about the things that influence it. This is going to be one of those topics that a fleet will hear from, basically usually at 10 power or more. An insurance company is going to send out an on-site visitor, an auditor of sorts, right? That's going to go out there and do some sort of an evaluation. You can count on it that they're going to be talking to them about, what are you doing for compliance on this topic? I mean, every time there's a new reg, they're just beating those kind of drums. So, get ahead of it when your agent asks you. Just like a couple of years ago, the PSP, we talk in our insurance geek group about pre-employment, the pre-employment screening, tool that's available. Getting an MVR tells one story about a driver. Pulling their PSP, it shows you all their roadside stuff, right? So that driver may have had a lot of problems maintaining his truck, doing his hours of service. His MVR might look wonderful, but he's got all these other horrible things that he's bringing in his history to your employment. Those violations are now going to be on your DOT number if they continue to behave that same way. And so, this clearinghouse is another element of character behavioral check on that driver, just like the PSP check is. So drivers are kind of living more and more in a fishbowl. I mean, they don't have as much to hide behind as they did.
And it's interesting, as what you're talking about makes me think, this is really where my contribution is that I know that most of my audience is carriers or dispatchers or people boots on the ground. And if I can help with the message and the information to folks in a preventive maintenance type method instead of after the fact, that's what I want to do.
Yep.
I pulled up the PowerPoint here because we're ready to move on. We got a few more slides here, right?
Just a couple more, but I think we're nearing the end. For those motor carriers that currently, manage the drug and alcohol testing program under the feds, there's a section in 391, that's not really the drug and alcohol part, but it kind of parlays together. That when you're new hiring a driver, you're required in the first 30 days of hiring to reach out to their previous employers that may have had you and ask them in a very manual way, like on a sheet of paper, and you send it over, do they have any drug and alcohol violations? So in the last 3 years. So we've already been doing this, right? This has been the manual version of trying to get some information about whoever it is that you're bringing onto your fleet from their previous employers in a way that says, if you did violate, did you go through the SAP program? So because we know this is going to be an empty database, my employers are not happy with this. They're going to have to basically do both. So for the next 3 years, they will continue to do their queries and pay for it in the clearinghouse, as well as send out that manual form that is soliciting information from the previous employers until December 6th of 2023, which is FMCSA feels as though they'll have plenty of data already stored in the database, and then there will be only queries through the clearinghouse, and that 391.23E will go away. That's what this slide talks about. So it's futuristic, but
everything is futuristic.
Away, which we can do all up for you. So you can outsource some of that stuff for a very low cost.
Okay. Okay.
So these are my plugs for more access to information. The National Drug and Alcohol Safety National Safety Administration. I'm getting us mixed up with the DOT. The National Drug and Alcohol. Who are we? I just lost my train of thought.
I did all that. National Drug and Alcohol Screening Association.
Screening Association.
What's in your cup? What's in your cup?
What is in this thing? We were asked by the Office on Drug and Alcohol Policy and Control to spread this message because the auditors really are thin and there's not a lot of money out there. And so right now, these are the 3 major cities that we are conducting large roundtables. We'll have Patrice Kelly, the acting director for ODAPSI, as well as FMCSA, fly out from DC and actually give a live Q&A session and education on these regional roundtables. And so September 11th in Des Moines, Iowa, here in Phoenix is the one I'm doing. Rich is helping me with that. And then November 13th in Orlando. So we should have some more dates, but the details will be posted on the indasa.com website. So if anybody's interested in wanting to come and hear about it live and get their questions answered by the sources, these are the times, and we expect that we'll draw hopefully a couple hundred people during the course of the day to have these conversations.
You're not going to believe this. Let's see. Okay, November 6th, that's the week before Used Car Week. Used Car Week is in Las Vegas, November 11th through 15th. So I'm available on November 6th, and you guys can have me in Phoenix. Okay. So anyways.
Come on in.
Yeah, no, it sounds great. We have so many friends now in Phoenix.
I know.
Phoenix keeps popping up on the radar. It's really interesting.
I'll even put you up, Jay.
Wow. Yeah, that'll be awesome, man. So what's the purpose of these, so these are education sessions?
Yeah. Yeah. So instead of looking at my mug in your face all the time, you get to actually have the people that are regulating you come in and talk about this stuff.
Oh.
So if you want to get in front of the players that wrote this and the players that are enforcing it from Washington, D.C.
Okay.
Our commitment is we draw a crowd. Their commitment is they'll fly out and they'll spend an hour apiece providing you with updates on, the new regs that are coming down the pike under DOT in general, and then more specifically, at least an hour of live Q&A with the people at FMCSA DC about the clearinghouse.
Well, that sounds like an interesting opportunity, actually.
Yeah, it's a great way to get in front of them, and you can express all kinds of displeasure at your leisure.
Hey, it's not that kind of show. All right.
No. you really got something on your mind, they're there in front of you.
Well, now that's and you were hinting at that before. Is that's going to be an interesting moment for some of these folks? Is that right?
Yeah.
So September 11th, their first one. That'll be an interesting day, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In Des Moines.
Wow, I didn't even think about why they selected that.
Well, I saw that. I'm skipping it. You know.
I didn't do that.
That is so. That's like so 80s. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the people in Des Moines are, you know, Des Moines is good country. They'll be fine. I don't know.
Let's hope.
I mean,
Let's hope.
Yeah, no, I mean, and they're going to appear. So that'll be a really wild event. Appearing in person.
JW, you should show up for all three of these, and I'll give you the.
I can't. I mean, meaning I don't have the flex. In fact, the Orlando overlaps with Used Car Week. And
that's awful.
And you guys are all in Phoenix. I'm telling you, I see November 6th. Besides, September 11th, they're going to need to get their game together, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, they had a little test run earlier at the Endesa National Conference, and it was
pretty scary.
I say we put this together. I say that we try to put something together. We really should.
Right.
You got it. Let's do it.
Awesome.
Rich is great at connecting people, so
I know.
There's 7,000 contacts.
Absolutely true. Richard,
right?
Really, this is a testament. You're putting people together. I'm so glad that you have this slide here to talk about this and plan and go to the next stage. So let's see what's on the next one. This is great.
I believe the next one is going to summarize where we're at, folks.
Okay.
So get ready for November. You got to register if you're an employer, and you got to register if you're a driver that need a job, and you got to register if you're us, and you got to register if you're the doctor of the lab. So that's when the website blows up. That's what we think.
You know, and it's blowing my mind. Did anybody know this? Like until right now?
We knew in March, but it was pretty quiet.
But who's we? Where's this information? No one's talking about this on Facebook.
I'm talking about it. We're talking about this.
Yeah, well I think we're probably going to need to keep talking about it.
We got to keep talking about it. So rule enforcement begins January 6th. Employers required to run full queries beginning then. It'll be empty, but you still got to run a full query, and the drivers are going to have to register and give them consent. Employers are required to continue those previous employer checks until December of 2023, so double the work, but we'll help you. And then owner-operators must engage with a qualified CTPA for compliance. So this is interesting. We didn't talk about this earlier, so I need to apologize to you and everybody listening. If you're an owner-operator, the clearinghouse regulations specifically require that you must join a consortium / third-party administrator in order to be compliant, and that basically we become the agent on your behalf, kind of like we're your boss. So it's a non-negotiable. Now, it's a non-negotiable that you have to be in a random selection pool as well. So if you're an owner-operator, you've got to join a consortium anyway. But this further qualifies that in that regulatory instruction around owner-operators don't just get to go get their CDL and jump in a truck and go and not follow the same regulations that Knight and Swift have to. It's the same thing.
What you keep saying the word pool. Help me out. What's pool?
Yeah, so a pool. So when I say that, in the regulations, say I'm a 100-man company, I've got 100 drivers, and I know in the regulations that I have to test a minimum of 25% of my drivers for drugs.
Randomly.
And I have to pull them. I have to pull their name out of a random index.
Okay.
That becomes my pool. My pool of drivers is what I'm pulling
That's your
from.
sample. That's your sample.
Yes. It's your group. In a consortium, the idea behind that is you're creating this pool of drivers that are owner-operators. I own a truck and my dad drives with me. I'm an owner-operator, but I have 3 employees. So owner operators or very, very small employers, in order to qualify and do a random draw accurately, you have to get into a pool of other people like yourself, and a third-party administrator like us would then pull those numbers either quarterly or monthly, but we choose quarterly, and then when you get selected, you go take your test. Does that help?
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And that's the thing, is that I'm trying to, it's not hard because I'm not, so much of this information I'm not used to. I mean, as a carrier, just hearing this and wondering, I mean, by the way, I mean, I haven't even gone back and I need to go back and read, like, here's a question. If you're on CBD, will you test positive for marijuana?
Likely, but I can't be sure.
Yeah.
My recommendation is to stay away from CBD.
Because you don't know how well they've cleansed the THC out of it.
Yes.
And then you can probably test positive for THC pretty easily. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm guessing.
Yeah.
If you do it a lot, it's going to be in there for a long time. Now, we also saw an article today that is talking about the CBD oil is actually giving some liver damage. So there might be other reasons you don't want to,
It might test positive
purchase
for
it off of Amazon and do something.
Richard said bonus.
That's right.
We throw an extra reason not to do it.
Oh man.
Are there more questions out there?
Yeah, I skipped some. I mean, meaning because there's so much information here. Do you use a test for synthetic products that people use for detoxification? Do you test?
Oh, there's all kinds of products out there. Don't fall for all the marketing BS, because if you've got it in your system, you're going to pee it out. And as you know, everybody has a metabolism that's sort of unique in their own. But we do know that usually somewhere between 24 to 72 hours of ingestion is when you're going to either pee, sweat, or cry out. Most drugs and alcohol, notwithstanding marijuana, because that likes to stay in your system longer. And these synthetic things that they talk about cleansing, just think about it. It's kind of, they're just taking your money.
Yeah.
I can see that. I mean, that argument makes sense.
Your body's gonna get rid of it somehow, so it's gonna come through your urine, and you'll detect it if you have drugs in your system.
I think this gets into the 26,000 pounds. The question is, so Class A and Class B, as far as who?
I can't answer that. Maybe Rich can help me. I just know the weights, but I don't know how they're classified on the other side of the FMCSA scale. Do you?
I agree with, I think the question boils down to Class A tends to be the commercial combination is what most people think of. Class B, and again, it gets confusing because there can be variances amongst the states. So I'm trying to remember when I operated a school bus, I think I had a B license, right? But I still had upwards of 60 passengers for that.
Yeah.
So I think it's easier for people. It's probably not, but here we go. We'll try.
Class B is also a CDL, so it's just a matter of the size configuration.
Yeah.
It's weight and it's number of passengers.
And that's what I was saying. So I don't think it draws A versus B.
No, it's weight and it's passengers.
Right.
If you're over 26,000 pounds, you got to be in the pool, or you got to be in a federal drug testing program. If you're hauling 16 seats or greater, that includes the driver, you're in. If you have that 10,000 GVR weight tractor trailer that you're pulling, and what goes on it can go up to 26,000 pounds, just the propensity that it can puts you in that federal testing bucket.
And so then, like Tom says, all right, so just to make sure you get a positive test, the physician reports it to the clearinghouse, and then the motor vehicle department gets notified. That was kind of an interpretation, pretty much.
Yep.
Right, in a nutshell.
And it's electronic, so it's not as if they're sending the stork flying out with a Post-it note to the motor vehicle department. It's electronic, so they're going to get pulled right away. They're going to get notified pretty quickly.
Right. Because and Jan Kornman says.
Hey, Jan, she's a buddy of mine.
Right. That was my guess. She says it's on the 10th, not the 11th, September 10th. In Des
Moines.
Oh
my goodness. Sorry, Jan.
And she's I guess she's saying come to Des Moines. So.
Yeah, she's covering Des Moines and she covers the Dakotas, and she's one of the best trainers out there. So.
Get on your combine, buddy.
Sorry, Jan.
Right. All right.
I'll tell you those dates later.
So Class B, to clarify again, gross vehicle weight over 26,000, or you're towing another vehicle that has a weight or a trailer that exceeds 10. So A tends to be more your tractor trailer, whereas B can be that other class. So like I said, my school bus license is a B.
Yeah, so I probably wouldn't go based on the class. You got to go based on weight and seats. So as far as, again, more resources, sign up for our newsletter, because we're going to be throwing series of this out from now until Kingdom Come, because it's going to continuously be changing. So if you're interested and curious, go to our website. You'll see web newsletter boxes pop up everywhere. Sign up. We won't call you too much, but we'll give you some good information on this. Check our website. We're going to be doing frequent updates on the clearinghouse as they come through to us, or as I, beat their door down and get them to answer my questions. What's next on that?
And your website, I put it in the chat, impactemployee.com.
Right. Impactemployee.com.
Let's see, we got custom screening programs for companies of all sizes, nationwide background testing services, impactemployee.com.
That's us. You want to add anything to that, Jay?
No, I mean, I think it's, as we shared with the audience and with Jay earlier, there's going to be changes between now and go time in November. So I would encourage everybody, whether it's through us or through the national website, there's going to be information that changes. So stay informed.
Are you all doing webinars and other things to?
Well, definitely. Yeah, we're going to do a series of newsletters, obviously, but we're also probably going to do some more webinars. We have been doing them, but we think it's probably going to be necessary to chunk it down to smaller versions of it, because more information that comes out, the deeper this stuff goes. So, I don't know how much will change. It's just how much we start to learn more and more as it becomes closer to that date and more information gets shared.
Right.
I think
we just want to stay in front of that for everybody, because you never know when the next big thing sort of all of a sudden rolls out, and we just got to make everybody aware of it.
Well, I think we should probably do this again.
Let's do it.
Yeah, we should. Maybe in a couple months we'll come back and revisit all this stuff.
I think close to November this will be pretty rock solid as far as what we're going to expect.
Wow.
I'd like to. Maybe not.
Well, that's what I was thinking. I mean, it's right around the corner.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
here's more resources. There's your government website, our website, the Endesa website. Shout to my friend George with the Clearinghouse Navigator. They're doing e-learning resource center there, so that'll be a great resource for people. You can follow us on Twitter for Endesa. Sign up for our newsletter like we mentioned, and then of course there's our contact information. So there's a lot of avenues out there, but if you just want to talk to a real person, just call us. We'll talk to you.
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot to say.
Yeah, there is.
So if you call the phone number, you can. I mean, people can talk to you.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Ask you questions.
Mm-hmm.
And that's awesome. I mean, I think that's a really big deal. People are going to need that.
Yeah,
definitely.
That's why you reaching out, us doing this again, and I like the idea of the FMCSA. Their FMCSA representatives showing up. Is that right?
Yeah, they will show up in those roundtables.
Wow, that sounds like. But have you seen those listening sessions like that the FMCSA had? That they were very
dry.
Yeah, like just not. They didn't feel very participatory or insightful. Yeah, and so I don't know what the right format is everything. I don't know what the right format is, but I'm not sure.
So
because if you
those round tables that we're putting on,
Yeah.
Jan, you read Jan Kornman out there. She's going to put on Des Moines. She's a firecracker. So if they're going to show up and get boring, she'll step up and she'll fill in, and fireworks will start to go.
Well,
I'm not the guy, so we'll do something here. And I know that Jim Greer, who's putting on the Florida version, he loves to take the mic. So if we might scare him to death. Who knows? But
here's what I was going to say is that, just like I don't have people calling in right now because that format isn't going to lend itself to just getting to the meat and potatoes all the time. So like what I guess I'm saying is that, I don't know, do you have a line of people ready to go to a microphone asking questions? Is that the right format? Do you already have 6 people lined up? You know what they're going to say, and that way you can kind of manage. Yeah. Anyways, I mean, I don't know how I got off track, but this is what I think about. I think about formats and content.
You're sold. We'll do this again.
Right? Yeah. No. All right. We'll do this again. Maybe this will be the format. All right. So what do we got here on the resources?
I already went through all that.
You went through all. I was busy thinking about formats. All right. So we got the phone number, we got email address, and I like what you guys were saying as far as just reach out to your insurance agent.
Yep.
I like that a lot.
Yeah. If they don't know and can't help you, you should find a better one, or as Gina mentioned, give them help.
Yeah. And
ooh, we're breaking up really bad.
Resource place for insurance professionals to get data and information on just trucking. It's all they do is they're writing trucking policies and stuff. So it's very much that niche. So they should be calling Rich, if that's the case, and getting over with MCIF, because we'll see out there anyway. You're not going to get rid of us. Right? Poor Tommy.
I'm gonna put the site up here again. This is a good time to plug who to talk to. Obviously, impactemployee.com. That's how folks can find you. And then they've got the phone number. I mean, you can just go to the main page and the phone number's there. Rich, you are at pfaprotects.com. That's where people can find more information. And again, talk to people. I'm gonna put Evil Sizer up here too, because even though Penny's not here right now, I know she's got a lot to say about trying to help drivers and employers educate and understand what's happening. So I put her up there also. Guys, I want to thank you for spending this time. I know this is a lot of your time, and we putting a lot of energy into getting together and doing the show, but I really appreciate it. And I really hope that we've helped. I'm not sure how many people, and I'm not sure how I hope that we can get a lot of leg room's not the right word. Hopefully we can get this video can go into because we got 6 months. That's why I feel like in some way we're a little bit ahead of this, because ELD just bulldozed people. It really did. So many people had no idea, and I see that happening with this too easily.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Let's do the hustle. We'll get this out there.
All right, guys. Well, listen.
Thank you so much for having us.
I really appreciate it. Yeah.
Great show, guy.
You guys have a great night. I'm going to let you go. Thanks a lot.
Thanks so much, everybody. Have a good night. Thanks, everybody.
Okay.
Bye.
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 Oh man, those guys were great. I'm telling you. Okay, you can see me. Okay, yeah, I know we had an internet disturbance there, like an internet quake. There must be some kind of a good catchy way to say that I had an internet quake, and it was just a disturbance thing. But we're back, and that was a lot of information, and I know that personally, I see this as a very large pill to swallow, right? But when we think of the impact, hey, there's the name Impact, impactemployee.com. When we think of the impact on our families and our livelihoods and people we care about and safe travels, then we arrive at the understanding of why we're here. But the way that it's going to be implemented and the severity and then the discretion with an SAP and then you got to return to duty and immediate notifications, it's going to be something new to get used to. And that's why I'm really glad that Richard brought this to me, that we had the opportunity to do this roundtable and the interview. And I want to thank you guys for sticking in and hanging in here. I know it's a lot. I know it's not exciting. And somebody's wondering, how is this helping me? And I guess knowing about it now is definitely going to help you instead of just finding out the hard way. You could wake up January 10th, not know a thing. And suddenly somebody's like, hey, you got to register. You know, like, we need all your information. You get a letter in the mail and all this stuff. And that could be very trying. So listen, thank you guys so much. And by the way, I want to say this too. I want to thank, I'm going to pull these pages up here. I want to thank Gopher Auto Carrier Software for, oh, you guys can't see that. Here, let's go here. I want to thank Gopher Auto Carrier Software for being an advertiser, and also for really, they provide amazing customer service. If you're a fleet and you've got contract business and you want to make it easier and automate it, you need a good TMS dashboard and mobile app for your invoicing, bills of lading, for your ePod, to manage your customers. You definitely want to talk to Gopher, and you can call them 760-267-9040, the phone number and email right here at the top of the page. I also want to thank Superflow Systems. Mark was on the show last week. He's going to be on the show again this month. So was Gopher. And at Superflow Systems, if you have a broker CRM or you think you need one, you need a better way to manage all the leads and customers. You know, you can't do it on pieces of paper floating around the office. That's no way to manage your leads. You need a broker CRM. And if you're giving quotes in running lanes that you know nothing about, you can't know every running lane. You can't know all of the off route, and I mean, you probably get a good knack for it, but there's gonna be quotes that you don't want to underbid. You need a good auto quoter. That's TAQ, transportautoquoter.com. So you want to check that out, and you can go to Superflow Systems to find out more about Superflow. And of course, if you're looking for the right truck and trailer combination, thinking about getting into car hauling, talk to Sun Country Trailers. They make high quality, custom, industrial strength trailers, and they'll also talk to you about what's your business plan? Where do you plan on running? How much experience do you have? What's going to be the right truck and trailer combination for you? They'll actually consult with you before they sell you the trailer or before they send you to one of their dealers. But they do want to talk to you. They want to hear from you. And so I really appreciate what Sun Country Trailers does. It means a lot. And of course, I want to thank you guys. I really appreciate you guys sticking around. I love, that people are getting something out of this show, that they look forward to it. I look forward to it. I work hard on it. And I do that because it is a community. And it's cool to hear that once again, community does benefit us in our business. The more we know about each other, personally, business-wise, the more we understand the ecosystem and what's happening now and in the coming days, the better off we're going to be in our businesses. And so that's why I created Auto Transport Intel. So listen, you guys, thank you so much for joining me for another Tuesday night. Next week is actually going to be Sun Country Trailers. Sun Country Trailers will be the interview next week, so you're going to want to stick around for that. I'll see you next Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Please go back and check out videos in the archive. And of course, stay safe out there, because we all have loved ones we want to see again tomorrow, the next day, and the next day. So you guys have a good week, and I'll see you next Tuesday night. Thanks so much.